Well, online bullying took a sinister turn this week with reports from the eSafety Office that children are using AI to create sexual images of their peers to bully them. So far, the reports are interconnected, but according to the eSafety Commissioner, the number looks set to grow.
Tama Leaver, Professor of Internet Studies at Curtin University, explains how kids are using this technology.
Yeah, so I mean, we've had these technologies for a little while now, but I think with the release of generative AI tools, they have really made it much easier to basically take any form of source photo that has basically an image of someone's head and then apply that to any sort of body or scenario. So many of these tools have some sort of restrictions in them, so you can't, for example, easily create nudity, but there are versions that don't have those restrictions. So it's not hard now to put basically anyone's face onto any sort of body, and there's obviously real potential for harm there.
So what sort of scenarios are being created?
Oh, look, we see everything from sort of silly things where you sort of gender swap and put someone's head on the body of a different gender, all the way through to quite abusive stuff where we do see few but very hurtful examples of what we might call deep fake or AI porn. And porn perhaps isn't the right word, because if it's not consensual, it's not really porn then, is it? It's actually a form of violence and abuse. So we're seeing things created, a small number, and we're responding to basically the very earliest reports of this, but we are seeing a small number of very harmful things being generated.
Well, it doesn't just have to be nudity or sexually explicit scenarios. What other ways is AI being used to alter or create other situations which can also be offensive?
It's contextual, but basically putting someone's head on anybody that's not theirs can be humorous in particular settings and can be bullying in particular settings. It really depends on context, but certainly taking someone's head and putting them on a really thin or a really fat or a really bulky or a really a different body in different contexts is a form of bullying, because it's done with the intent of hurting that person. So we can't sort of list every possible harm. We certainly shouldn't be trying to prevent tools being able to generate these things, but we do need to be aware that in certain contexts, kids putting other people's heads on any other sort of body can be a form of bullying.
Well, online bullying is nothing new, but the ability to create realistic images or videos of people in various scenarios is. Just what sort of harm could this cause the targeted individual?
Oh, look, it's deeply distressing seeing your own image being altered in particular ways. It does feel like something's being done to you that is out of your control. But it's also the fact that it's often it's rarely that this is someone you don't know. It's more often that your peers are messing with you in a particular way. And that's why bullying matters so much. It's rarely do we bully people we don't know. We usually go after someone that we do know. And in a social scenario, that's greatly amplified when it's not just words and it's not just something that disappears, but is in fact an image that then gets recirculated by other people. So the humour often comes in this being distributed by direct messaging or things that it may not be publicly visible, but it is very visible to the peer group of that particular individual. And that's where the real harm can be done.
Well, Tama, there are some industry recommendations to address this problem. What are some of the solutions? Where do you think they should start?
Look, there are both short-term and long-term solutions here. In the short term, we should be having conversations with young people in the same way that we do about consensual use of images. We should be obviously having conversations about what we should and shouldn't do with these specific tools, but we also need to embed this within a literacy framework. There are new technologies all the time, but the basic norms of why we shouldn't do this don't change. This is a cultural conversation. This is a digital literacy conversation about not wanting to use these tools abusively. So when the next tool comes along, we don't need a new conversation. We've already established best practice. We've already helped young people think about not wanting to do this to each other.
So how can AI companies improve safety?
Oh, look, anything that can generate harmful images should probably be age-gated in some particular way. Terms of use suggest that these should all be used by adults, but there's nothing preventing young people using them. Now, there are legitimate creative uses that young people are exploring as well. We certainly don't want to lock them out of those opportunities. But what we do want to do is make sure that this isn't just open to anyone for any reason. And I think that's where a sort of a staggered approach where different ages get different sorts of access is not a bad thing.
So, Tama, for parents watching who may be alarmed by this, what is the way forward, given AI usually only needs one picture to create a deep fake? I mean, should parents and kids be ripping their images down?
It's not practical to stop people sharing all images. There are really positive network benefits from sharing. There are positive things that parents and kids get from sharing images with each other. I don't think the right response is just to say no images, because then the benefits that we get from network communication go away as well. I think we do need to have consent conversations about image use in any way with young people from as early as they can understand it. And that is really quite early. Even if it's consent around holding up the iPad and taking a photo of your sibling, have a conversation at that level, and then it builds over time so that by the time they get to being teens, they've actually got a working sense of consent, which is something that we're not necessarily always getting right as a culture.
Tama Leaver, thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks, Kathryn.